I know him as a very simple, down to an earth man who has ended up becoming a coach accidentally. So I will call him an accidental coach, but a very good coach. His learning and development department actually proposed his name for a training, and he signed it up without knowing what is he actually signing up for. And he ended up taking this coaching course from the Coaching Foundation of India way back in 2010. And you won't believe, in the he was the 10th batch of students, and in those 10 years he was the highest scorer across the 10 batches in Coaching Foundation of India. And today he is not only coaching within Tata Steel and other executives, he has coached over 20 CXOs and CEOs over the past 7 years, including those of Reliance and others. So, sir, it's a great pleasure to have you, sir. There is nobody better than you who can talk to our senior members as to what is the significance of coaching even for the coaches and the leaders. Thank you, sir, to agree to come on board so quickly. And over to you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Nagarajan. It is my pleasure to be here, and thank you for your introduction as an accidental coach, which is absolutely correct. I shared this with you. Okay. Can I put on my screen now?
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So good afternoon once again, and thank you, Dr. Nagarajan, for introduction. So let me start with a story about myself and what coaching means. Way back in 1989, in a coffee meeting, or during a seminar, we are having a coffee, and four of the senior people of Tata Group, Tata Steel, the managing director, the president, and one more person, they cornered me. They said, "Listen, the position of you went from works to marketing 10, 11 years back. Would you come back?" So I said, "I've never said no to you guys. Wherever you send me, I'll go." So that position was that of a director of scientific services, uh, where I had started my career right in the beginning. So when I was in marketing, where the time they were talking, I had 16 people reporting to me. I mean, we were total 16 in the group, spread across the country. And 11 days later, I was director of scientific services with 3,000 people reporting. And five head of department, 5 departments. I was just looking at one tiny department, 5 departments, at least 50 PhDs, and 50 people older to me. They were senior to me in Tata Group. And I started working and was a failure. Why I was a failure? Because I never understood that when you are handling department like marketing, which is a strategic department and not a working department, and where you have very few people and all of the similar caliber, and you just go to the factory where you have people reporting into you from very low level to the senior level, and 5 departments, you actually see you must not be working yourself. You must know how to get the work from others. And this is the single sentence I did not know. And coaching does this. If I had a coach at that time who would have told me one single line, that's it. I did not need anything more. I learned it many years later. But if I had learned this line at that time, my career would have been different. I'm not saying it would have been better. I don't know. but it surely would have been different and more satisfying. So this is what coaching is. It is not that you go through a great deal of knowledge, but one sentence can make a difference. And I'm firm believer that this sentence doesn't come so easily. Okay, let's move to the next one. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah. So this presentation will cover 4 topics. What is coaching? Why coaching? How does coaching work? And what are the variants of coaching? It is not that coaching is one single aspect. There are many variants in this. Yeah, please go on. Yeah. So what is coaching? It's a powerful conversation. It's a powerful dialogue between a person who's a coachee and a coach in a context of organization. And obviously, it is meant to give some positive results in a fixed frame time. It must give productive results so that there is a change in the behavior of coachee. It's a behavioral training more and goes through with a very vigorous dialogue between the two. During this coaching process, uh, there are several things which we use, which I'll come to. The coachee gets his mind clarified as to what he actually needs to be able to function better, to be able to give result, and also have a satisfactory life. One of the main things, one of the important things in coaching is to bring in the work-life balance. Most of the senior executives lack that. And it is just in the mind that I have too much of work. I'm not saying that there are no situations where there is too much of work. Somewhere it is. And there itself, then the job of the coachee is to correct that organizational setup or attempt to correct that organizational setup so that he or she is able to have balance of life. Yeah, kindly move on. So this is pure definition. So it's a helping relationship between a coach and a coachee so that coachee is able to handle his managerial responsibilities. It's a behavior change. And during the dialogue process or during this interaction, along with the organization and some other tools that we use, we identify uh, mutually satisfactory, mutually identified set of goals so that end of the day, coachee is able to improve his professional performance and get personal satisfaction. So that's a classic definition as you see on the screen. The important thing is that end of the day, when the coaching finishes, which is time bound, usually 8 months to 1 year, the coachee should have made some change in his behavior so as to perform better. And also made change in his behavior so as to have personal satisfaction in life. Please move on. So there are several things which we do in this coaching. We use some psychometric tests so that there is improvement in performance and growth. And also there should be change which is designed, which is deliberately designed. And there is a continuous improvement. Like when we finish the coaching, we don't say, okay, that's all and goodbye. We usually set the goals or set the actions of the goals in motion and hand it over to the sponsor of the coaching to carry it forward. The reason being that it is time bound. It is not mentoring when you are on the job. So in mentoring, you have a person who is leading you, who is giving you all the inputs whenever you need. But then in mentoring, you don't work on those goals. You work on just improving your current style of working and so on and so forth. But having said that, executive coaching overlaps mentoring, because somewhere or other you really need to handle. The difference between coaching and mentoring, so to say, is that coaching is a very time bound and specific to the goals. Mentoring is not. Mentoring is general. But when we do the coaching and we spend hours and hours together, it's never actually never sits only in that context of coaching. You have to drift into mentoring mode. Yeah, please go ahead. So these are the typical goals in coaching, that you improve the performance of organization, ability to manage his or her career. You know, that important thing is that you should also be able to manage your career, not only that goals. And you must learn tools and techniques, psychological issues, so that you keep on advancing professionally thereafter. Because when the coaching finishes, that's only 6, 8 months, 1 year. Improve the coach's stress management skills and stress hardiness, to make him understand, her understand as to what coaching can do and what he behaviorally should change, so that person leads a satisfactory life and not stressed. And as I mentioned earlier, good work-life balance. It's a very important thing in life, which unfortunately, presently, this is missed. Everyone is working from morning till night and ignoring the other pleasures of life. Yeah, please move on. So going ahead, increase the range and effectiveness of behavior repertoire, capacity to manage organization in terms of planning, leading. These are various types of goals. It will depend upon, not that everyone has to go through all of them, but there may be one or two here and there. Yeah, please move on. So coaching is a multidisciplinary professional, and it cuts across. It is some amount of counseling. It depends. The way we do it in sports psychology. So there is a bit of a psychological. There's consulting on psychological. We use the psychological tools, and it's obviously for adults. It's adult education, so it uses some kind of a mix of all this. Important thing is that coaching is for fully functional, successful people. I think I have mentioned somewhere in this. Please go right after this. I think bottom has that. It is for fully functional, successful people who have some kinks in their behavioral aspects and are um, not able to utilize their full potential. So here is the thing, that you find those problems and let the person realize full potential. So let me here give you examples from my coaching. Way back in 2015, I was coaching director of one American company called First Rain, a brilliant PhD from JNU. He was a Odia person. I'm still in touch with him, and he will speak English at a speed which is 125 words per minute and typical Odia accent. And he was typical Odia dialogue. And he was dealing with Americans on video calls. What a disaster he was. So these people realized his value in the organization, but they also knew that he needs to change. He needs to come across the customers as so that they can understand him. So, what was the coaching goal? Simply reduce his speed of speaking from 125 minutes per words per minute to 90 words per minute, and improve his way of speaking, that he speaks the words more clearly and not in Odia dialect. This is a coaching. So it is not that you are looking at anything. I mean, those fixed things. In this particular context, what was required was this. And we finished that coaching, and he was actually speaking at 90 words per minute. And we used to measure, one of the colleagues used to measure his speed of speaking during these dialogues with customers. And then we used to play and look at how he speaks. And we changed that. So he reduced his speak and it was quite okay. Obviously, he was not able to change the dialect so beautifully, but it worked. So coaching, you know, uh, uh, addresses the problem, and even the executive, psychological thing like feeling lonely, anxious, inadequate, guilty, and it maximizes the meaning in context. We devise the action plans and implement change and make them suitable. It reminds me of another coaching which I am doing now as a president of Reliance. Obviously, I'm not going to name him. There are many presidents. So he had a problem in delegation. So when we were digging as to what is it, what behavior which prevented him from really delegating. He wanted to show he is superior, he is in command. But bottom line was he was afraid of losing the job. Fear. We identified that fear through the psychometric tests. It tallied with his psychology. And obviously now it is for him to work. So he never thought all that he is doing is because of fear of losing job. And can you believe Reliance has no managed attrition? They never sack anybody. They sack people who are corrupt. They sack people who are totally inefficient. This was a revelation to me that Reliance is such a knowledgeable organization. Okay, kindly change. Next slide. Yeah, here it is. I've written coaching is meant for fully functional, successful executives who help in improving their performance and satisfaction of life satisfaction further. And these things are not available in traditional organization. Mentoring cannot give you this. And most of the time, even the mentor doesn't know this. He has his own problems. So coaching is the one which gets you introduced to such things. In coaching, many times people don't see the benefit. They don't realize the benefit, and what is the ROI of coaching? And I, as a coach, know what coaching can give. Just few sentences, few behavioral changes are enough. Again, it reminds me of another coaching of Aditya Birla Group, when a person who was head of worldwide marketing of a particular product was brought in as CEO of a company. And whole life, I think he had 30 years of experience as a marketing man. When he came as CEO, production was his main responsibility. So was marketing, but they have marketing quite in a different manner, but marketing was also involved. But production became his main stay. And this man have never been in production, could not demand from people that you have to produce. So during one of the dialogues, I told him, Mr. X, you don't have to really be empathetic to people to give you production. In production system, within the boundary line of factory, you give them resources and then demand. Unlike marketing, where you are begging from somebody else and the decision is in their hand. In production, everything is under the command of the chief operating officer, and he should be able to give you the results. This one sentence changed his tenure of CEO. He was not able to demand because his psychology was only begging, the way you beg to the customer in marketing. And he changed. He changed from that. And then he started demanding, and you saw the good, and he saw results coming in very quickly. Please change. So, as he said, the coaching helps the organization to tap the untapped potential of its employees by changing their behavior and leverage this change potential for benefit of organization. Obviously, end of the day, organization is spending lakhs of rupees in coaching to see that they benefit, while they do not should not also mind that the personal benefit also comes to coaching. But obviously, top thing is that the organization must benefit. And coaching helps people to make personal choices and take responsibility for those choices in intervention in the organization or in the work. Yeah, please move on. So how does coaching work? I think I've given a lot of examples. Yeah, put please go ahead. That important thing comes later. Yeah. So it's what happens is usually the organization select a coach, there is an engagement and there's a coaching contract, because it's a very time bound thing, and number of sessions, everything is managed, and whatever the fee to be charged and what is the schedule to be charged. So we sign a coaching contract with people. And this obviously individual coaches change those contacts. So, and then in the beginning, we do the assessments. What are the assessments? I've written there. Sponsor gives us his feedback, what is required from the coachee. Then we do interview-based 360-degree feedback. So today there are many tools available in the market which are machine-based interaction. So, but we do not believe in machine-based 360-degree. We do interview-based 360-degree, which is a combination of written and interview. We do a very special, appreciative discovery dialogue, which gives us the idea of what has worked in the life of the coachee and how his success has come about and how he can leverage that success for going forward. We do emotional intelligence tests, which is one of the fundamental things people do not appreciate, how emotional intelligence is important in progression of life. It is not the intelligent quotient, it is the EQ. We say not IQ, but the EQ, which makes the difference. And we do some other tests to know the personality of person. So based on this, you create a coaching agenda as to what we are going to do in coaching and fix the goals. Once all this is done, then actually the coaching starts. So this is first initial part of about 2-3 sessions, and then the coaching starts, where we make the change. We go on and to make the change in the behavior of the person and come to a stage that it is stable, not that he goes back. Now, this is the problem with coaching. Because we are not hand-holding for a very long time, a lot of effort is required also from the coachee to actually continue with those practices. And unfortunately, I have also come across many cases where people have gone back. It is like making a New Year resolution. So on 1st of January and 2nd of January, you are very enthusiastic, and on 31st January, you have forgotten. Now, that is what should not happen. Yeah. So please change the slide. So there are a lot of variants of coaching. What I was talking about is not only one-to-one coaching. So let me give you the view of variants. So there is the executive coaching, which is usually one-to-one, can also be in the group. And group doesn't mean that we coach together. Group is certain common things we tell in the group. So it is for enhancing performance. Transition coaching, I gave you example of myself and also of the CEO of a company who was not able to cope with the transition. He had a different responsibility. And this is one of the very important types of coaching, handholding. Because usually what happens when a person is changing a role from one, say, head of department to CEO or joining a new company, he not able to give up his zone of comfort. He lives in that zone and carries on activity in that fashion. But when you are transitioning, you also like to transition your mindset, your skill sets. So a production person coming as CEO focuses his time on production because that's his comfort zone. But that's ridiculous. He should not be doing that at all because he knows everything about production. His time should go in understanding HR, finance, maintenance, and whatever other functions of the supply chain and so on and so forth. But since I'm comfortable in my zone, I focus there. And that's where your transition doesn't take place. And preparing for higher roles. So the coaching that I am doing um, in Reliance is actually making presidents who are kind of head of department of a very, very large function, because Reliance, everything is large, to general management course, the general management roles. So where they take over head of production, head of marketing, and do some different things. So preparing for the higher roles also is a different type of a coaching. We do coaching for entrepreneurs who have started a new business and those who want to change the business profile. Because usually these new entrepreneurs do not have, first of all, they do not have that maturity of age, and they are usually too fast, and they do not temper their speed and behaviors. So they need handholding. But also we have to change the business profile. If you want to change the business profile from single product to multi-product, or from services to production, they need coaching. Now, having said that, every coach doesn't do all this. So we coaches also specialize and do that limited coaching. So, for example, I don't do coaching for entrepreneurs and for family business. So there are people who do this only. I would be executive coaching specialist. I don't do other coachings at all. Yeah, kindly go ahead. And I think that's it. So I did not want to take too much. We have got about 30 minutes, 25 minutes for question answer, because coaching is actually too general to speak about things. Thank you so much. I'm done with my speaking. I'm open to questions now. And I think that will be great.
Yeah, thank you very much. We would request people to open up. Yes, Dr. Rajiv has a question. Please introduce yourself, sir, and then maybe ask the question so that Dr. Thwani also knows.
I'm not,
Yeah,
I'm a compounder. You forgot.
Sorry.
I feel very humble in calling yourself a compounder of emotions and personality traits and potential of human beings, especially executives and other. Your write-ups and full circle brand are so well known. Uh, Dr. Shama, I would like just to say that I'm a hospital administrator and I keep learning about health and hospital administration. For my earning, I work for Indian Railways as senior consultant health in New Delhi. The question that I have for you is related to the the word coaching. You see, in a sports, the most frequent usage of coach is to bring out the best potential and putting a person to a level of performance where he could be at the top in the world. Now, in your executive coaching experience, have you been able to achieve this potential of coaching as a technique where the person you have coached has reached the best or the top of his potential at the global level?
Thank you for this question. Wonderful question. I have, you must get opportunity and to be able to coach a person who has that caliber. So I have not got that opportunity. And people who are coaching, they're like Dr. Marshall, they only coach into the very, very large organization. He is New York based. I'm talking about coaching in Indian context and to the level of people who are CXOs and CEOs. I would think that it is for us to see that he reaches the next level and is on progression to make that. The difference between sports coaching is that you are continuously with the person for years and decades. It is not the case here. We are working with coaching for usually 6 to 8 2-hour sessions, period. And in that, we tell what is stopping him or her to achieve the potential and work out the way out techniques, how to overcome that. We cannot even see the full, shall we say, fruition of that because we don't have that time. That is mentoring again. In coaching, we don't do that. So it's a limited period engagement, very specific.
So you're still waiting for a Neeraj Chopra?
Hello? Yeah. No, that will not happen in this kind of. So as I said, I also showed
Yeah.
a slide that is a mix of variety of coachings. But
Thanks.
here, the purpose is limited.
Yes, I do
Work
understand.
out on 1 or 2 goals and see that coachee knows technique, how to overcome those problems. We don't even actually see many times the end of fruition. He keeps on working on his own. As I mentioned, we hand over the coaching to the sponsor of the coaching or the boss of the company or whosoever has sponsored his coaching and leave it to him or her to carry forward the guidance. I hope I am clear on
Yes,
this. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
of course. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir. Jagtar, sir, you have a question, sir?
Yeah, I have first a comment.
Yes,
Doctor,
sir. Kindly please introduce yourself because Thwani sir doesn't know all of us. So
okay.
Dr. Rajiv had been very modest in introducing himself. So
No, I'll try to follow Dr. Jain only. I am Major General Jagtar Singh. I am a hospital administrator from the army, and I have superannuated and then worked in the corporate sector for some time, and I'm now a freelance, hospital consultant. But I'm very impressed, and really, your presentation was, wonderful, and it's an eye opener.
Thank you,
So
sir.
my very, heartfelt compliments to you on your presentation. What I would like to ask you is anything from the healthcare sector. Do you have any experience? Because I'll tell you why I'm asking you. Because most of the time, the top physicians, when they reach at a certain level in their profession, they tend to make a transition towards, administration or trying to head institutions. Have you had any experience or any, incident that you can share with us where in healthcare sector you've had to, coach some top leadership?
Thank you for this question. My answer is no. And my answer is no for even not from me, from entire CFI. Nobody has ever asked for this coaching.
And a
Because
corollary to is, would you be able to place some kind of a reason why from healthcare sector people have not reached out for this kind of an opportunity to be coached and do better?
Should I ask a question? How many of you knew coaching?
Sorry?
It's new even to industry. Whosoever is participating in this webinar, how many of you knew about coaching? People don't know. They don't value it. They don't understand.
Right.
And I was talking to Dr. Nagarajan, and I said, yes, it is very important. I mean, not from the point of view, I haven't thought over doctors to administrators, but definitely administrators who are administrating hospitals, who are like executives in companies. Surely there is a potential. But people do not know about this. Even in organizations, they don't know much. In big companies, they have hesitation. It's only now that it is getting introduced. Do you know how many coaching the CFI get? Officially 200 in a year. That's it. In the entire country.
Okay. Right. So that's a revelation. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Just a corollary to Jagtar sir's question. You may have had similar experience when people who have been working in production or one department in the industry become the CEO. So the CEO is a broader role as against a production head or a marketing head or something like that. So it is similar to a clinician becoming an administrator. So as the clinician becomes senior enough. So what kind of challenges have you seen in these kind of people in this kind of a transition that they do?
Yeah, so I just mentioned one of the major things is that people are not able to puncture their zone of comfort. They still like to stay in the same zone. So if I've been in marketing, as a CEO, I'll stress more on marketing. If I've been in production head, I stress more on production, which should be actually other way around. In my coaching, I tell the production head, you forget production, yeah. You have worked entire life in production. You should spend 1 minute in production and 20 minutes in other function. Because here you don't need to be told anything. You know by looking at the report what's happening. Having said that, in transition, in the organization, and there's a transition also between one company and another company. People leave the job and join. So CEO to CEO position or head of department to CEO position, wherein the additional factor of culture comes in. So, usually people, when they shift from one organization to another, you get defeated by the culture of the organization to be having the ability to absorb themselves into the group. That itself is a problem. Many companies are not able to welcome newcomers easily. But your question that how a physician or a clinical person goes in administration, I think I'll have to think a little. I do not know, because if a person is junior in administration and takes a senior position, vis-a-vis a person who has been only operating and looking at patient, to get into administration is a different ball game altogether. It's very difficult. I visualize the change is a big step. And having said that, I'm not saying it cannot be done, but one has to think on this.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other question, please?
How do I question? Hello?
Yeah, Dr. Sangeeta.
Yes, I have been in NTPC, National Thermal Power Corporation, and I was a doctor. We used to run hospitals. Now, a part of that question that came in, how do, some clinicians are excellent with administration. So even if there's a CMO, it tends to delegate a lot of administration to these clinicians. Those clinicians are very good at it. So that is how the whole thing moves in our place. It's not that he becomes senior or he becomes senior to the CMO or anything like that, but he does a lot of administration along with his job. That is what I also did all my life when I was in NTPC, about 30 years. That is how you work, It's not being a clinician doesn't become a negative thing of becoming an administrator. You can do administration, you can do this too. That is how I see Dr. Suresh, Mr. Suresh.
And I would agree with you because
Yeah.
everyone has the innate capabilities.
Yeah.
So some people are good in administration, whether they have done or not, they
Mm.
need to just brush up their knowledge or handle it. So this is innate abilities. You see several. I know one lady dentist in Delhi. She's a very good painter, and she soon realized that she can earn more from making paintings than from being a dentist. So last 2 years she has shifted. She now does painting. Now all her profession she learned about was how to be a good dental surgeon, but she had innate ability of painting, and she probably chose a wrong profession, and now she has come back to something which she should be doing.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. That is how it goes, because a lot of people who didn't know the line did surgery and then they find that they're very good at administration. So they slowly, sort of take over how to run the OT, how to get the anesthesia people to cooperate. So that is how it goes in our line. That's what I've seen.
See,
Thank
I
you.
will give you a parallel here.
Hmm.
I mentioned during my lecture that EQ, emotional quotient, emotional intelligence,
Hmm.
far outweighs intelligent quotient, IQ. Yeah, we are born with IQ.
Yeah.
EQ is you learn, and EQ. Now, this word EQ was coined by Dr. Goldman of Harvard Business School in 1995-96, somewhere like that. And he wrote the book called Emotional Intelligence. But people before that doesn't mean they were not emotionally intelligent. This word was not known to anyone. But people were brilliant. They were born with this kind of a capability and they learned over a period and they exhibited and succeeded in life. So similarly, if you are a born administrator and you happen to be a clinician, doesn't matter. You can always switch anytime you want.
Thank
Correct. Any other question, please? So, if there is no other question, sir, I have one question and a comment to understand. You talked about difference between coaching and mentoring. If you were to ask me, I see that all of us, at least I'll talk about myself. I would really like that somebody who can always keep telling me that this is where some of the things that what you are doing at your level is not right. Say, if I were to draw a corollary, Chandragupta Maurya became successful because Chanakya was there to handhold him through his success, right? So here you had not only a coach and a mentor, so that I see this as a complete transition, and this probably is required in everybody's life who really wants to success or grow to their fullest potential. I think none of us have actually looked at our own potential, and these 200 people who come to CFI are probably somebody else has really pointed out and seen. Otherwise, they themselves may not have made an effort to find what is the flaw with them.
Yes,
Am I
yes.
correct, sir?
Yeah, sure. Very few person come for coaching on their own. Most of them have been sponsored by organization where organization feels the need for their potential to grow.
Hmm.
They don't come themselves.
But long-term mentorship, no, nobody comes in, is it?
you.
No,
Would you?
that should be within the organization. Normally, you hand holding. So as I said, these are two different things. Coaching is very specific. You select 1, 2, 3 goals and handle that. Mentoring is ongoing. You're
Yeah.
not doing this right, this to improve. And having said that, many organizations have also now started developing internal coaches, because to be able to say what person needs, also you need insight.
Right.
You may all have our prejudices, and we work through them. So my mind may be set on one single way of working. I will keep telling people to work like this, which itself may not be correct. The coaching is different. Mentoring is hand holding continuously for a long period of time. Coaching is very specific, short intervention.
Nagarajan,
Yes.
could I speak? Yeah, in our organization like ours, we have compulsory 7 days coaching has to be there. We all in the end of the year have to say that we have done coaching in 7 days, whether it's medical or non-medical or whatever. Apart from that, we have this hand-holding mentoring groups where we all go in groups, we are called, and we have to mentor. Senior people are meant to mentor junior people. You have 2 or 3 people that you mentor. What that means, that person can come to me, you in the office or anywhere, and say that this is happening to me. Am I going wrong? Should I do something separate? Or I'm right and the other person is wrong? How do you go about? And then you sort of have a dialogue. And since you've been there in the organization for say 10 years or 15 years, you are in a position to help that person overcome that little problem, probably. If not, you keep quiet with him and talk to the person who's concerned to find out what his problem is. That is how mentoring goes in our organization in NTPC. Suresh sir, this is my little
Yeah,
information.
sure.
Yeah,
So this has been set in NTPC as a process.
yeah, it's a process.
Yeah, so everyone follows that process. I suppose it's effective, and
Yes.
it's not one among many things. So this is has to be seen. But
Yeah.
as a process, many companies do this.
Mm.
But my experience is that even internal coaching is not so effective, because over a period of time, it becomes just one among many initiatives.
Yeah.
True. True. Okay. So if there are no questions, further questions, I would like to hand over to Dr. Jagtar Singh for wrapping up the session.
Thank you, Shama. Very kind of you. And in the end, before I, close these sessions, I would like to give our profuse thanks to Mr. Suresh Thwani for having shared his years of experience and his thoughts on this very fascinating subject, which that he has introduced us to, that is coaching. It has opened up our horizon and our eyes on so much of potential which is there of this field, particularly in the healthcare sector. So thank you very much, sir, for this wonderful talk that you have given us, and we thank you for having spared your time to be with us today evening. So thank you very much.
You're
And
most
I
welcome, sir.
also thank all the participants who were here with us during this session. I'm sure it must have been a most enlightening, kind of an experience for them. We have all learned something novel. We have all learned something new and something very, very practical, which we can carry home as a message where we can put these aspects to use in our own organizations wherever we are working. Before I close, I would just like to see whether Dr. Yashpal Sharma, our president AHA, is there with us in case he would like to say a few words. Shama, would you confirm if he is there?
Sir, he just now informed me that he is going for an urgent meeting with the secretary.
Okay.
He just now logged off, sir.
So thank you, everyone. And thank you, Shama, for, getting Mr. Suresh for us. It was a lovely experience.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Suresh. And I don't think this should be the only time that we interact with you. It would be a wonderful experience to continue our interactions with you and our sort of meetings with you. And there's so much to learn from you. I can only say that.
I have my huge experience as a metallurgist. So if you ever want to learn about steel, I surely will. This is one of
I
my experience.
no. It is very uncanny. My father was a metallurgist in the railways.
Okay, yeah, great.
So I've heard these talks at home, where he used to be so passionate about